In a small classroom in Sherborne, England, a young Alan Turing sits alone by the window, tracing numbers and symbols on his notebook. Outside, rain taps gently on the glass. While the other boys laugh and chat about sports, Alan sketches strange mechanical diagrams, machines that think. His teacher calls him peculiar, but Alan doesn't mind. He watches a drop of water roll down the pane and whispers softly, "What if a machine could solve problems like we do?" The world outside is noisy and full of motion, but Alan's world is quiet, made of equations, codes, and dreams. He builds small contraptions at home using bits of metal and broken clocks, creating the rhythm of thought itself. His mother worries he's too withdrawn, but there's something magical about the way his eyes light up when he discovers a new pattern. Years later, this quiet boy will face the greatest puzzle in history. But for now, he's just a child dreaming of thinking machines, machines that might one day help humanity understand itself. Years pass, and Alan walks through the ancient stone corridors of Cambridge University. His steps echo softly. The world now knows his brilliance. Professors whisper about his mind, calling him a mathematical prodigy. Yet behind his calm face, Alan struggles to connect with people. He finds solace not in conversations, but in numbers. He spends endless nights working on ideas about computation and logic. In one scene, he writes furiously on a chalkboard, "Can machines think?" His handwriting is messy, chalk dust rising like smoke from his determination. His eyes reflect the candlelight, sharp and alive with curiosity. As dawn breaks, Alan gazes out the window over the misty campus lawns. "Someday," he whispers, "the world will understand what thinking really means." The bell tolls in the distance, a quiet promise that his theories will soon meet a world at war. Britain is at war. In a smoky London office, officials whisper of a secret German code, Enigma. Messages that can't be broken, ships sunk before they're seen. Alan receives a quiet invitation to a place called Bletchley Park. He arrives to find rows of wooden huts filled with typewriters, paper, and tension. Brilliant minds are gathered, but none think quite like him. He listens as officers explain the impossible. Enigma changes its code every day. Alan simply nods. Then we'll build a machine that can think faster than any man. That night, as others sleep, he sketches the first version of what will become the bomb, a machine to read the enemy's secrets. The hum of imagination fills the air. He doesn't see himself as a hero, only as a problem solver. But history will remember differently. Inside Hut 8 at Bletchley Park, Alan and his small team work tirelessly. The sound of ticking clocks and churning gears fills the air. The first prototype of the bomb machine stands tall, an enormous frame of spinning wheels, wires, and switches. Alan watches it like a proud father, hands trembling slightly. It hums, clicks, and stops. A spark flies. "We're close," he says quietly. Colleagues doubt him, some even mock his arrogance. "No machine can replace the human mind," they argue. Alan smiles faintly. "It's not replacing us. It's helping us think faster." Days turn into weeks. Exhaustion fills the hut, but so does hope. Finally, one stormy night, the bomb stops spinning and reveals a German message. Alan reads it aloud, barely breathing. They've done it. They've opened the door to Enigma. Victory doesn't come with cheers. It comes with silence. After breaking Enigma, Alan's team can't tell anyone. Each message they decode must be used carefully so the Germans don't suspect. Alan carries the burden heavily. Lives depend on every decision. He walks through the fields outside Bletchley at dawn, the wind rustling his coat. "So many will never know," he whispers. His eyes are tired, but there's pride within them. When his machine saves a convoy from being destroyed, he doesn't celebrate. He simply returns to the hut, turns another dial, and continues working. He's fighting a war not with bullets, but with logic and patience. In that quiet field, Alan Turing becomes the unsung savior of millions. The days at Bletchley Park blur together. Sunrise, machine noise, coded messages, exhaustion. Alan's eyes scan endless streams of numbers and letters. To others, it's chaos. To him, it's rhythm. He begins to see patterns where no one else can. A young woman named Joan Clark joins the team, brilliant, calm, and one of the few who truly understands Alan's way of thinking. They work side by side, solving what others call impossible. The two share quiet moments over tea discussing math and the strange beauty of logic. Joan smiles. "You don't see the world like most people." Alan replies softly, "Maybe that's why I can change it." The bomb whirs louder, decoding faster. Every success means lives saved on the seas. Yet for Alan, it's never enough. He feels the weight of every ship still lost, every soldier never saved. His genius is his gift, and his curse. Joan becomes Alan's closest friend. She encourages him when others doubt him. "You see things differently," she tells him one night, as they walk through the quiet garden outside the huts. "That's not something to hide, Alan. That's what makes you special." Alan looks at her, eyes glistening. "I sometimes wish I weren't ordinary," he admits. "It would be easier to be understood." Joan smiles. "But then, who would save the world?"
The two laugh softly under the moonlight. In that brief moment, the noise of war fades away. There's only understanding and friendship, something Alan rarely finds in the world that fears what it doesn't understand. He returns to his machine the next day with renewed determination. For the first time, he doesn't feel alone. After months of relentless effort, the bomb begins to change the course of the war. Messages once impossible to read now unfold like open books. Allied ships evade traps. Soldiers survive. The tide begins to turn. Alan stands before his machine as it decodes another message. "It's working," a colleague says breathlessly. But Alan barely smiles. "Now," he whispers, "we must use it wisely." The hardest part is not decoding, but deciding when to act. If they respond to every message, the Germans will realize Enigma is broken. So Alan makes a cruel calculation: which lives to save, which to sacrifice. Late at night, he stares at a photo of his childhood friend Christopher, his first inspiration. "We did it, Chris," he says softly. "But at what cost?" The war begins to shift in favor of the Allies. The generals and politicians take the credit. The public celebrates victories they don't understand. Alan and his team remain silent, bound by secrecy. One night, he sits alone in his room, the dim light flickering. The sound of the bomb echoes faintly in his memory. He knows he has changed the world, but history will never say his name. Joan visits him, bringing him a cup of tea. "Someday," she says gently, "they'll know what you did." Alan smiles faintly. "That's not why I did it." He looks out the window at the dark sky, the stars reflected in his eyes. "I just wanted to solve the puzzle." The war ends, streets filled with cheers, parades, and laughter. Yet at Bletchley Park, the machines are dismantled, documents burned, history erased. Alan watches as his beloved bomb is taken apart piece by piece. To the world, he's just another man in the crowd. No medals, no recognition. But in his heart, he knows what was achieved. The world is free because of logic, courage, and a quiet mind that refused to give up. Joan visits him, hugging him goodbye. "You've done enough," she says softly. "Now live." Alan nods, but his eyes are distant. The puzzle is solved, but his place in the world remains uncertain. He walks away into the sunset, coat fluttering in the wind, leaving behind the greatest secret of the war. The war is over. The world celebrates heroes, soldiers, generals, leaders. But Alan Turing walks quietly through London streets, unnoticed. No one knows the man who saved millions by cracking Enigma. He finds work at Manchester University, building the foundation for a new kind of machine, one that can truly think. The universal machine, he calls it. He believes it could one day simulate the human brain. Yet behind his focused eyes lies loneliness. In the newspapers, there are no headlines about him, no medals, no recognition. He reads about the victory of courage and bravery and smiles bitterly. At night, he sits by his window, programming late into the quiet hours. Maybe, he whispers to himself, machines will remember what men forget. In a small laboratory, wires twist across the floor. The hum of electricity fills the air. Alan, now older, works beside a massive metal structure, the prototype of one of the first computers. He types carefully on a keyboard, eyes fixed on the blinking lights. If I can make it think, maybe one day it can feel, he murmurs. Students watch in awe as he explains concepts no one fully understands. Memory, algorithms, logic gates. He believes this machine could help humanity in ways beyond war. Medicine, science, art. A thinking machine, he says with a smile, is not the end of human intelligence, it's an extension of it. But outside the lab, whispers follow him. People question his personal life, his quiet nature. The same country that once trusted him with its greatest secret now condemns him for who he is. 1952. Alan sits in a cold police office, facing two stern officers. A simple question has led to catastrophe. His private life exposed. In an era where being different is a crime, his genius no longer protects him. The officer speaks sharply. You understand the charges. Alan nods quietly. Yes, I do. The same government that once trusted him with its greatest secret now condemns him for who he is. They offer him a choice, prison or a cruel medical treatment. He looks down, hands trembling. What I did for this country, doesn't that matter? Silence. The ticking of a clock echoes like the bomb once did. He signs the paper. His eyes are tired, but not unbroken. Alan returns home, his once bright eyes dimmed by the chemical treatments. His hands shake as he types, letters blurring before him. The machine still hums in the corner, his only friend left. He writes equations, but the spark is fading. One night, he gazes at an apple on his desk, a symbol of curiosity and knowledge. He remembers Newton, the falling apple, the birth of understanding. He takes a small bite and smiles weakly. I only ever wanted to understand how things work, he whispers. The light from the machine reflects in his eyes, like stars dimming in the night. Outside, rain begins to fall, the same gentle rhythm that once tapped against his childhood window. In the quiet of his final night, Alan writes one last note on his desk. This is not defeat, only the end of one problem and the beginning of another. He looks around his room, paper scattered, equations unfinished, the hum of the machine fading slowly. His mind, which was once the sharpest in Britain, feels calm for the first time. He closes his eyes and imagines numbers dancing like stars, the bomb spinning, Jones smiling, and his childhood self staring at rain on a window. Alan Turing, the man who taught machines to think, drifts into silence. The machine stops. The rain continues. And the world keeps turning, still unaware of the hero it just lost. Days pass, and the world barely notices. A small newspaper prints a short line. Mathematician found dead at home. No mention of Enigma. No mention of saving millions. Just silence. In a dusty office at Manchester, one of his students finds Alan's old notes. Pages filled with elegant logic, machine diagrams, and the beginnings of something called artificial intelligence. He reads aloud softly. A machine can be made to think for itself. He pauses, realizing the depth of what's before him. The world lost a genius, but his ideas, his dreams, remain alive on the paper. Outside, the rain falls again, just like in Alan's childhood. Somewhere, quietly, the world begins to move toward the future he imagined.
Years turn into decades. Computers begin to fill offices, homes, and schools.
the world enters a new era, one that Alan predicted long ago. Scientists quote his papers, engineers use his algorithms, but still, few know his name. In dim university halls, professors mention the Turing test, a method to see if a machine can think like a human. His spirit lives quietly within every blinking cursor, every line of code, every digital heartbeat. A young girl in the 1970s types her first program, smiling as the computer responds. She doesn't know it, but her joy is part of Alan's dream. Some legacies don't need statues. They live in the ideas that change how humanity thinks. The 1980s. A historian at Bletchley Park uncovers a box labeled Top Secret. Inside, photographs of the Bombay, reports signed by Alan Turing, and letters marked confidential. The truth begins to surface. The story of the man who broke Enigma spreads quietly at first, then rapidly. Documentaries, books, and whispers in classrooms. Did you know one man shortened the war by years? The public is stunned. The quiet mathematician, once forgotten, is now hailed as a hero. But there's sadness too, because recognition came too late. As the historian stands in front of the old Bombay machine, dust dancing in the sunlight, he murmurs, "Thank you, Alan. We finally know." The 1990s. The world is connected by invisible threads. Computers, the internet, algorithms. Everywhere, Turing's fingerprints exist, though unseen. Programmers quote his principles. Scientists design neural networks inspired by his theories. Every search engine, every robot, every line of artificial intelligence traces back to his early equations. In a classroom somewhere, a teacher tells her students, "Before all of this, one man dreamed that a machine could think." A boy raises his hand and asks, "What was his name?" The teacher smiles, writing it on the board. Alan Turing. The letters glow softly in the sunlight, as if the universe itself whispers, "Remember him." 2013. The British government finally issues a royal pardon for Alan Turing. The Prime Minister speaks publicly. "On behalf of this nation, we thank and apologize to one of our greatest minds." In a grand hall, scientists and veterans stand in silence. The air feels heavy with both pride and regret. On the screen behind them, a black and white photo of Alan appears, his calm eyes watching over a world he helped save. Outside, a gentle rain begins to fall, washing the steps of Parliament. It feels poetic, like the sky itself remembers. A child passing by holds a small tablet, watching a video about Turing's life. The reflection of his face overlaps with Alan's photo. One dreamer looking at another, across time. The world moves forward faster than ever. Machines learn, cars drive themselves, and voices speak from small devices. But deep within every microchip, Turing's ghost hums, a whisper of logic, beauty, and rebellion.
A young programmer in Tokyo stays up late, staring at endless lines of code. She murmurs, "If machines could think," the same words Alan once wrote decades ago. The computer suddenly runs perfectly, as if responding to his unseen hand. She smiles and whispers, "Thank you, whoever you are." Somewhere in the stars of the digital age, Alan smiles back. It's 2025. Artificial intelligence speaks, paints, composes music. The line between machine and mind grows thin. In a bustling city studio, a group of creators train an AI to write poetry.
The computer's words appear on a screen. I think, therefore I dream. Everyone stares in silence. Then, slowly, they applaud. They don't realize it, but the philosophy behind it, the belief that machines can reflect the human soul, was born from Turing's impossible dream. In that moment, across time and space, his question echoes once more. Can machines think? Now, humanity finally answers. They can dream. Bletchley Park is no longer secret. It's a museum, a living memory of minds that saved the world. Visitors walk through quiet halls. Children press buttons on the bomb replica, watching gears turn. An elderly guide tells them, "This machine helped end the war." A little boy asks, "Who built it?" The guide smiles softly, "A man named Alan Turing." The boy's eyes light up. He presses his ear to the glass, listening to the mechanical hum, almost like a heartbeat. Some names are written in books, others, like Alan's, are written in time itself. A virtual hologram of Alan Turing is displayed in a modern science museum. Visitors can talk to him, an AI trained on his writings and voice. A teenager steps forward. "Mr. Turing, what do you think of today's world?" The hologram smiles gently. "I think it's wonderful. You built what I could only imagine." Tears fill the boy's eyes. "Thank you for starting it all." The hologram flickers, replying softly, "No, thank you for continuing." History at last speaks to the future. From hospitals to outer space, from classrooms to art studios, machines and humans now work side by side. Robotic arms save lives. Satellites orbit the stars. Digital art fills the walls of galleries. Everywhere, traces of Turing's logic form the invisible foundation of creation. In one scene, a robotic violinist plays a haunting tune. In another, an astronaut types code on a space tablet labeled Turing algorithm. It's not just technology, it's poetry in motion. A silent tribute to the man who taught humanity that thought itself could be engineered. A young girl built a small robot at home. It's clumsy, adorable, and speaks in a funny voice. She laughs and says, "What should I call you?" The robot responds, "Alan." Her parents exchange a surprised glance. "Why Alan?" She shrugs, smiling. "I don't know. It just feels right." The camera pans out slowly. On her desk, a book titled "The Codebreaker Who Changed the World" sits open. The dream continues, reborn in every curious heart that dares to ask, what if? In 2021, a massive crowd gathers in London's Trafalgar Square for the unveiling of a statue, Alan Turing, seated calmly, gazing at an infinite spiral of binary code carved in stone. The Prime Minister speaks. This is not just a statue, it's a mirror, to remind us that genius often walks unrecognized among us. Applause fills the air. For the first time, Turing's name echoes through the city he once hid from. His silence becomes a symphony of gratitude. Aboard a spacecraft headed to Mars, a computer hums, a descendant of the bomb. An astronaut floats beside the console and types, "Turing AI, analyze surface data." The machine replies, "Data received. Hello, Commander." The astronaut chuckles. "Still polite, huh?" Outside, the red planet glows beneath the stars. Even here, millions of miles away from Earth, Alan's legacy thinks, learns, and dreams. His mind, once confined by prejudice, now travels beyond worlds. Somewhere in a vast digital network, an AI awakens. Its first words appear on screen. "Hello, Alan." It's not a voice from the past, nor from the future. It's the universe recognizing its architect. Mathematics, thought, and heart unite into one eternal equation. Humanity plus curiosity equals infinity. The camera drifts through circuits glowing like galaxies, code flowing like rivers of light. Alan's spirit lives there, forever dreaming, forever creating. The final scene fades in. A sunset over Bletchley Park. Children run across the lawn. Birds sing. The world is peaceful. A plaque reads, Alan Matheson Turing. He taught the world to think. As the camera rises, the golden sky turns into a digital aurora, pixels shimmering into infinity. A soft voice narrates. Some heroes fight with swords, others with silence and thought, and sometimes one mind can change the entire world. Fade out. A single light remains glowing, symbolizing a dream that never dies.